Hello everyone. In this workflow video, I would like to discuss a topic which we encounter in support quite often. And therefore, I have prepared a small, simple project, two screens, 55-inch displays to be specific. And I've changed the resolution on the right one to Full HD. So basically we're dealing with two screens of the same physical size, but different resolution. And a lot of times people or users will encounter something like this. On one screen, the scaling is alright. If I now start and apply the same clip onto my second display, all of a sudden the scaling seems to be off, it seems to be wrong, it looks like a bug. But in reality it isn't, and the reason for that are different pixel densities. So you now might ask yourself, what are pixel densities and why does it affect my content scaling and compositing? Well, the reason for that is the technical foundation of Pixera. If you have ever had the chance to be in one of our trainings, you should already know that in Pixera we're actually dealing with two different 3D spaces. We have the so-called auto-compositing, the 3D space you're working in most of the time, where you build your setup, you put your screens in 3D, you put your projectors, LED walls. You basically use this as a scene view. You basically build in the 3D space what you have in use in the real world. Additionally to that, there is another 3D space called the inner compositing, which you can access by diving into the screen, which you can see here on my right screenshot. And as soon as you do so, you enter the 3D space of the content world. Now, the inner compositing is the reason why we have to deal with different pixel densities. And whenever I say the pixel density differs, we are dealing with screens of the same physical size in our auto-compositing. However, the pixel space is different, like in the real world. On the left-hand side, you have a 55-inch Full HD display. On the right-hand side, you have a 55-inch 4K display. So the pixel amount on our right screen is 4 times as much as on our left screen. And here we can now see how this actually looks in the auto-compositing and compared to that in inner compositing. Again, auto-compositing, the physical size is the same on both screens. In the inner compositing, however, we have 4 times as much pixels available, or let's rather say to deal with, than in our Full HD screen. We only have to deal with this problem, however, if we are running all screens within the same screen group. An easy fix to avoid problems like these, especially if you're not sure on how to set the system up, would be to just add a second screen group and pull down the screen or separate the screens into different groups. Pixera will by default always create one screen group on setup and put everything into this single screen group. And you're free to add as many additional screen groups as you like. So let's go back to our setup and the problem we are facing. As you can see now on my right-hand side screen, the content scaling seems to be alright. On my left screen, however, it looks zoomed in. If we now take a look at the inner compositing, it's a little bit easier to spot. There we go. Here we have 4 times as much scaling than on our right screen. Now the scaling is managed by the drop-down menu here, which is called Main Screen for Reference Content Resolution. And this is right now set to Full HD. So the reference resolution for our content for scaling is my Full HD screen. If I now take a look at my content in here, and we always have to keep in mind how the content is put in there is always defined by the layer scaling. So both of my layers are set to fit. This would mean on my Full HD screen, content is Full HD, and on my 4K screen, it's 4K because the native's display resolution is 4K. If I now change this back to my 4K screen, we now encounter something like this. We still are on fit. Now on our Full HD screen, again, keep in mind the scaling reference is now the 4K, not the Full HD. Set to Full HD, which looks something like this. And on the 4K scaling looks something like this. Simple explanation would be, as you can see here, I can fit this clip 4 times into my screen. An easier way on how to showcase this is to set the clips to resource resolution, which will now, of course, bring both down to the content native resolution. My clip, the one I'm using here, is 720p. Now on my 4K reference resolution, I can now put this clip, as you can see, 3 times in this direction in X and 3 times in Y, so 9 times into my 4K screen, which is completely fine. Now if I change my reference screen from 4K to Full HD, as you can see, the scaling will also change on my content, and this is now the correct scaling for my 720p content in my Full HD reference resolution. I hope this explains the whole setup, and it will bring some insights into the problems you may encounter. If you want to discuss this topic further, we would be happy if you could join our Facebook group, where Pixera stuff and some of our power users are waiting for your questions to be answered. Thank you, bye.